Welcome back to r/Neighbors from Hell, where people share stories about their crazy neighbors, and if you're new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe to join our amazing community, and without any further ado, let's dive right into the stories. And the first one is titled, Neighbor's Kid and Dog Ruined 30 of My Tulips. This all started last fall when I planted 30 tulips in the large flower bed in front of my house. Since then I have caught my neighbor's dog running amok, digging up my bulbs. At that time I let my neighbor know and it seemed to be handled and over with. Though once my tulips started breaking soil, it only got worse. The little girl next door started taking the dog with her to play in my garden. Play meaning letting her dog eat my tulips while she rips apart the leaves. Once I saw this, I quickly ran outside and politely explained to her why I am not okay with this. Again she apologized and I thought it was handled and done. Boy, was I wrong. For the last month, the little girl and the dog have been having a free-for-all in my flower bed. Every time I catch her and run outside, she darts off like it is some kind of game. I have tried getting in touch with the parent again, but I feel as if I am being purposely ignored. I eventually reached out to the landlord to just send a little friendly reminder out, which they did. But now I am at my wit's end. Yesterday afternoon I watched the little girl next door take a stick to my last standing tulips like a baseball bat, petals flying everywhere, and they all snapped at the stems. I was beside myself. I also knew I was too upset to confront anyone at that moment. Gave myself some time to cool down and then went over to knock on the door and talk to the parent. No answer, even though I know they were home. At this point I don't know what to do or if there's anything I can do. Our landlord is aware of everything except what happened yesterday. My landlord even gifted me new flowers to plant, but they also got destroyed in yesterday's reckoning. I know at the end of the day it is just flowers, but I honestly had a mental breakdown this morning when I went out to try and salvage them and realized they are all done for. All 30 of my tulips that took 6 to 7 months to bloom, destroyed. And a user in the comments suggested, try mentioning the dollar value of the flowers and your labor, that may get more attention from both parties. OP then responded, that's not a bad idea at all. My landlord truly does seem to care. It is my neighbors who don't, unfortunately. And guys, I am wondering, has your neighbor ever messed with your garden? And if so, what have you done in retaliation, or how have you told your neighbor to please not do this again? Let us know in the comments. And the next one is titled, Update to the Tulip Massacre. Hey everybody, first and foremost I want to thank you all for caring. Feels great having strangers on the internet validating your anger. I no longer feel as if I am overreacting, so again thank you. After many failed attempts of trying to get in touch with the parent, I gave up and called my landlord yesterday. She offered to pay the cost of my tulips, which I do appreciate. Though I expressed that I would rather have my neighbor cover that cost, as well as the fact that I won't hesitate to call the police if there is a next time, I am more concerned with them respecting my property than getting my money back, which I also expressed. She told me either way I am being compensated for my tulips. Also she hinted that I'm not the only one having problems with them and that she plans to handle it accordingly. I have not seen the little girl since the event took place, but 2 nights ago the dog got out and chased down one of my neighbors who was walking their dog. Animal control has been at their place every day since. I assume they are having a hard time getting them to answer the door as well. All in all, I am over it. I've spent too much time and energy worrying about it. Like I mentioned in the comments of the last post, I am moving late fall/early winter, hoping for better neighbors and better luck for my tulips. And yeah guys, that is just sometimes how these stories end. There's not always a satisfying revenge as an ending, because usually these stories are not fake and in real life some people are just too tired to get some sort of revenge and instead just move away if the neighbors are just too annoying. Have you ever moved away just because of neighbors? To me it kind of seems extreme to be honest, but I guess if you have the means and the funds, why not? And the next one is titled, Neighbor poos in bags and leaves them outside. My family bought a house in the city a few blocks from our business about a year ago. We are in Pennsylvania. Everything seemed lovely until we realized the house next door is owned by a slumlord. The dude who lives on the first floor is awesome, the second floor is a mess. The original second floor tenant was an older woman who seemed nice enough. She ended up passing away due to an overdose. The next person to move in is a train wreck. He is so wasted all the time that he continuously falls up and down the stairs, which is fine and doesn't bother me. Weirdly enough, the worst part about him is that there's always a waft of crap smell coming from his house and yard. Yesterday he puts a white trash bag full of human waste out on his porch. You can clearly see the crap through the bag. Today it is swarming with flies and smells horrid. I have 2 small kids and I am worried about this being some kind of health hazard. We cannot sit on our patio without smelling and seeing this dude's mess. I also loathe flies. Is there anything I can do aside from setting up fly deterrents around my house and lighting candles? Update: called the health department and they are sending a complaint letter to the owner of the house and will also be sending an inspector out in 30 days. Update. Wow, this blew up and thanks for the award. My husband and I saw him outside and questioned him. After admitting that he poos in bags, he refused to clean it up or even tie the bags closed. Not sure what my next move is, but I decided to invest in some good smelling candles, essential oils. Edit: I will not be using essential oils and have decided to go with citronella candles instead due to the advice given by some caring people, and fly traps. Wish me luck. And a user in the comments suggested, try calling code enforcement or the health department for your town/county. If he is doing this, there may be a plumbing issue that code enforcement will want to know about. The health department may be able to take action or bring other officials in to figure out why this is happening and how to fix it. Human waste left around is a huge health hazard. And guys, if you have watched until here, I would really appreciate it if you could post some star emojis in the comments and maybe even like the video if you wanna go the extra mile. Thank you so much in advance, it really helps my channel a lot. Update to the neighbor poos in bags and leaves them outside story. The Poop Man saga has come to an end. I am updating partly because people were so supportive and genuinely concerned, and partly because the story is ridiculous. I started where many people recommended. I called the Housing Health Department. I was asked if I wanted to issue a complaint to the owner of the property, which I did. A letter was to be sent to the landlord and an inspector would be sent out in 30 days to make sure things were handled. That felt a little too long for me to wait, so I was advised to also call the non-emergency number and the city council person. The non-emergency line immediately told me the issue was not in their jurisdiction, and while the secretary at the council person's office was extremely sympathetic, they couldn't go above the health department when it came to these matters. All seemed lost, and I was trying to come to terms with the fact that I would never go outside ever again until today. I creeped out my window to see my neighbor from the first floor, the super cool guy, and another dude removing trash bag after trash bag from the apartment. As I was leaving my house, the unknown man introduced himself as the owner of the property and began profusely apologizing. I retract and openly apologize for ever calling this man a slumlord. He is absolutely lovely and is just a nice guy trying to give people who are down on their luck a chance. I made sure to reassure him that we have no ill feelings or bad blood on our end towards him or his property. We were just grossed out and worried for our kids. He filled me in about the poop neighbor refusing to answer any of his calls and pissing off the balcony. Apparently what made it come to a head was first floor neighbor watching poop neighbor strut up and down the street naked with no regard for any other human life. Shortly after, poop neighbor fell down the stairs drunk and broke some ribs, which landed him in the hospital. Landlord and first floor neighbor took this opportunity to scope out the apartment and were horrified to say the least. They immediately called in cleaners, emptied the apartment and put padlocks on the gate and door. I really hope poop neighbor gets the help he needs while in the hospital, but I am also super thankful the landlord next door turned out to give a crap about his neighbors and didn't just tell us to F off. I will be calling the health department and retracting my complaint because of how quickly this guy acted. I don't want to further impact his life negatively. I am also thinking about sending him flowers and a thank you note. Thanks to everyone that reached out and gave me advice and kind words of encouragement. I wouldn't have been able to laugh and see the silly side of all this without you guys. And yep guys, that is a surprisingly wholesome ending to the poop neighbor story. Let's hope this dude gets the help he needs, and I pray for OP that he doesn't get any more awful neighbors. And the next one starts like this. I moved into a new apartment about 6 months ago, and I was next to this lady and her 3 young children. She befriended me and I thought she was nice enough. We would have a few drinks together like once a week and then I would go home. We got along pretty well, and one night she asked me to watch her kids for a little bit and she would pay me. She said an hour. She turned up 4 hours later, pissed drunk, and didn't pay me. I figured I would let it slide. I had her kids in bed, so I just left. She continually kept dropping her kids off on me and always came home annihilated. I got really sick of it and started not answering my door. A couple weeks later, she was having a party in the hallway. I had came back from class. She saw me and invited me over for a couple drinks. I figured I may as well. After a couple hours, she started snorting pills and pounding back more shots while holding her infant. Everyone was passed out by this point or gone. She projectile vomited in the floor and almost dropped her baby and then passed out. Me or her kids couldn't wake her, so I fixed them something to eat and put them in bed and went home. Several times over the following weeks this would happen, and then she started leaving her kids alone. Mind you, they were 8, 5 and 3 months old. They would come knock on my door because they were hungry or scared. I would always feed them and let them sit in my living room. After a couple times of this happening, I got completely fed up. I had CPS on dial. I gave her 15 minutes to come home. She showed up and took her kids home. While I was at school one evening, my roommate texted me to inform me that she had busted in our apartment while she thought no one was there. Well, he was. He made her leave, and what do you know? $100 went missing from my house a few days before that. I guarantee it was her. A pair of my heels and a bunch of change was gone too. That night when I came home, knock on the door. This time she had left her kids alone for hours on end. We were done with this. My roommate called CPS and the police. The police showed up instantly and were furious. She had left her children alone. They had tried to cook and there was broken glass all over the floor. The baby's diaper was on her so long it was stuck to her, and there was evidence that she would beat them. I told the police all that I had seen over the past few months. They took our statements and waited for her to come home. She showed up miraculously after they got a hold of her baby daddy. Out the window I saw her and she started getting violent with the police. They slammed her on the car and arrested her. One of the police came back upstairs and informed me that she stated that I was supposed to be watching her kids. She wanted me to lie for her, and I said absolutely not. Turns out she was drunk on arrival and had previous child neglect charges and a theft charge. She's been in jail since December. Her children are with their grandparents and very well taken care of. Sorry for the wall of text. This woman was a nightmare. I am glad to be rid of her. And the next one, my parents' next door neighbors are terrible, the wife in particular. When their kids were in school, the mother would sit in the driveway at 6:30 a.m. and honk the horn until they came outside to leave for school. One day my mom asked if they could refrain from doing that. Oh hell no, they cannot. Honking continues, then everyone in the house decides to honk several times every time they pull out of the driveway just to be pricks. They still continue to do this years later. They accused my mom of having a garden on their property. My parents have lived there for 25 years. The garden has been there for 25 years as well. They call a land surveyor who laid out the edges of their property. Sure enough, the garden is 4 inches over the line. This lady goes nuts. Spray paints a huge neon orange line between the yards, digs up the garden, puts a tiny fence in it, and then starts storing their trash bins on the area. In the back corner of the yard, super inconvenient if you ask me. Keep in mind, this is a neighborhood with a civic association. You are not allowed to even put up a fence without voted on permission. She accused my parents of putting dog crap in their yard. My parents don't have a dog, but this family has 3 wiener dogs that don't get walked. She stomps over to my parents' house and starts screaming. My dad dealt with her. He said she was screaming nonsense and seemed super paranoid that my mom was plotting against them and sabotaging their house. The whole thing is weird. And the next story, you don't know a neighbor from hell until you have lived next to 2 different residents who were into dogfighting. The house next to ours was always pretty suspicious because literally no one could move in there without something bad happening. When I was about 10, the house caught on fire and I was told it was because the teenage boys who lived there were burning pennies or something. After that, the house was purchased by a few men and 1 woman. I was maybe 12 when all this happened. I walk out to my backyard one day and there is about 6 little pit bull puppies trotting around the yard with their mother hanging out somewhere in the distance. Occasionally, the smallest one would come over to stare at me a bit and he would run after me if I ran back and forth along the fence. Months went by, police increased on our street and the puppies gradually disappeared, all except the little one. We never saw or heard what was going on, but there were a lot of dog cages in the owner's cars. One day I actually saw one of the men training the last dog, as in deliberately irritating him, shoving him, hitting him with things to make him bite. And whenever that dog was left outside on his own, he would come to the fence snarling and barking at anyone who came close. Almost got my mom one day when she was trimming our bushes back. Our 2 yards are separated by a single steel fence and towards the back the fence sags dangerously inward towards our side. The dog would have made it onto our yard had mom not used the pepper spray. And then one day they were just gone. The neighbors, the cars, the cages, the puppy I had watched grow from a sweet pudgy-faced baby into a vicious, angry, poorly socialized fighting dog. To this day, I still find this to be one of the most depressing things I have ever experienced growing up. Worst neighbors of all time. And you know guys, prior to coming to Thailand, one of the things that I actually researched the most, aside from the food of course, was how to deal with all these street dogs. Many of my loyal viewers probably know that I don't really like dogs, in fact I am afraid of the bigger ones, and before I came to this country I always thought that street dogs roam all of the streets, even in the capital Bangkok, at all hours of the day. So that's why I researched how to defend myself, maybe I even need pepper spray or something, but then in the end I never had to use these things because mainly I drive my motorcycle anyway and during the day there are not really many street dogs around. And when they are around at night I don't really roam around anyway. And ripe stars, unfortunately we have already reached the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed the content. However, if you cannot wait for more ripe content, then I suggest you head on over to patreon.com/ripeyoutube, where you can find more exclusive Reddit content read by me. Patreon subscriptions start at just $1 per month, and for $1 your name will show up at the end of each of my new videos. However, if you are willing to spend $3 per month, you will get access to more than 50 exclusive Reddit videos, mostly just no mother-in-law stories. However, please understand, I don't want to pressure anyone into spending money, because I am already incredibly grateful that you watch my videos every single day. Thank you so much for your daily support, it really means the world to me, and I hope to see you again tomorrow for the next video.